Hello everybody and welcome back to Oversteer Auto Reviews. Here I have the very special 2020 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Today I am back here at Dwayne Lane's Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram of Everett, and special thanks to them for allowing me to review this car. Without further ado, let's break this car down and complete a review. Now moving on to the front of the vehicle, which is probably the most definitive part of the Challenger, let alone the Hellcat itself. One thing I do want to start off with is the amount of vents this car has. In the front alone, you will have 6 air intake areas, unless you count the headlight intake, which acts as a 7th. All of these lower ones do feed the intercooler, whereas the one in the headlight does feed the air intake. You might be wondering, well, how does that work? Well, the air intake is conveniently placed right behind this first headlight right here, sends air through this little cylinder piece over here. Another interesting part about this cylinder piece is that the Hellcat logo has been embossed inside it. Now speaking of the headlights, this car does have the driver's convenience group, which does give us high intensity discharge headlamps. Along with that, this car also has the tech group, which gives us auto high beams, along with other features I will discuss a bit later. On the lower portion, you will see the very large splitter, which does have yellow splitter guards. You are supposed to take these off once you take delivery, unless you don't want to and want to look quite weird. This splitter also runs right into the wide body fenders, which I quite like. You will also see these very eye-catching dual red stripes. This is an option for the car and will cost you just about $995. Personally, I'm not too much of a fan on stripes on cars, but I think this car wears them really well. Now, in most Dodge vehicles, when you do purchase the tech group, you do get adaptive cruise control, and this is the module which controls all of those functions. Underneath the hood of this car, you will find the quite monstrous 6.2-liter supercharged SRT-powered V8 Hemi motor. This engine produces 707 horsepower and 650 foot-pounds of torque. Those numbers, with the aid of the rear-wheel drive drivetrain and 8-speed automatic transmission, will get you to 60 in just 3.6 seconds. Keep in mind that the 8-speed automatic transmission is a $2,995 option. This car originally does come with a 6-speed manual, but you can change it out. Now, as I did say before about the right side containing a headlight intake, the left side does have one, however, it has been blocked. Now, some people don't know this, but you can actually take this plastic piece right here, take it off, stick your hand inside, and pull out the little cap, which does prevent air from coming in. Once you take the cap off, it'll provide just a little bit more cooling for your very large engine. Also specific to the Charger itself is that when you do have the hood open, you will see these circle indentations on both sides. Cup holder perhaps? Maybe when you're at a nice Cars and Coffee, you have the hood open to show everyone your supercharged V8, and you decide that you just want to have your water bottle here, so you don't have to reach in and grab your water bottle if it's a hot day. I have no idea what these are for, but this seems like a probable case. An interesting thing about the Hellcat is that there is an SRT Hellcat logo inside the air intake on both sides. Moving on to the front wheel well, here we'll see the quite beautiful 20 by 11 inch carbon black aluminum forged wheels. These wheels have the SRT logo inside of the cap, which I quite like. These wheels also have 305mm width tires wrapped around them, which are made by Pirelli. They're all-season performance tires. These wheels are outfitted in all 4 corners of the car. Now, you also have 6-piston Brembo brakes with these black calipers, which are an option for around $595. Now, this car does have the wide body package, which means that these wheels are part of that package. This wide body package will run you about $6,000. Now, in that package, you will get adaptive suspension, which changes based off how you're going to drive, where you're driving. Along with that, you do get the wheels, but inside you will see a leather wrapped shift knob, and an illuminated shift indicator, along with a leather-wrapped wheel, which I quite like. The wide body package definitely makes the car more definitive than it already is, and it makes the wide car much wider. Now moving on to the side of the 2020 Challenger Hellcat Widebody, you will see some key features. Starting in the front fender, you have this nice Hellcat logo, which does tell you that there's something very nice and very powerful underneath the car's hood. The badge does pop out really nicely on the pitch black pearl paint. Now here we have a nice body line which runs all the way through the rear fender. Now this is in fact implemented on purpose from Dodge to refer to the retro styling on the 1971 Dodge Challenger. It's not just the rear fender. In fact, this window shape is also there to implement the retro styling this car tries to do. Now, those aren't where it ends. In fact, the headlights and taillights are also modernized, but still retro. Now, this car does have a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 engine, which means that fuel economy isn't very good. In the city, this car will give you 13, and on the highway, you will get 22. Now, because this car does not meet fuel efficient standards, you will have to pay a $2,100 gas guzzler tax. Now, one thing I did like about this gas cap right here is that it's retro and it's actually made of metal. And once you open it up, you have your basic fuel cap. Now, with the technology group, you do get keyless entry. There's a button on the door handle to lock the car, as I just did. The keys are in my pocket. I slide my hand underneath, it opens silently. I open the door like so to reveal the interior. Now I do want to close the door. And a problem with this Dodge I have found, and the Dodge Durango as well, is that you do have to put quite a bit of force to actually close the door. And now the window goes back up, and the car is locked. Now on the rear portion of the car, you will see that it is quite thick. On the lower portion, you will have this plastic piece with two reflectors and the dual exit exhaust. Now this exhaust is quite loud and quite beautiful, as it is the active exhaust, which you do get with the Hellcat standard. On the mid portion, you will see that there are the two stripes which do run all the way across the car. Here we have the retro styled taillights, which do look quite nice when they're lit up. On the center of these lights, you will see the Dodge logo in chrome. Now above that, you'll have this satin finished rear deck lid spoiler. It's not just your regular spoiler, because it has the SRT Hellcat logo over here and the backup camera built into it as well. Now one thing to notice is that this is actually the trunk opening button. So when you do pop it, it opens a bit. And one thing I didn't like is that you have to put quite a bit of force just to get the trunk lid open. One thing I did like about the car, however, as it is a coupe, you do get lots and lots of trunk space, which is quite nice. Now that the trunk is open, I shall conduct a trunk test. Keep in mind that this piece is quite large, so I will try my best to be careful. Ow. Goodbye, my friends. Now, this is quite tight from the top, and it is claustrophobic, but there is a latch to open the trunk, which is good. Again, quite heavy. This car does have remote start, which I will demonstrate for you because I simply want to turn this car on. I press this button twice. Now this is a coupe, but this car does have 3 rear seats, a full bench. Now I'll demonstrate for you how to get in. So I have put the seat in its farthest forward position and pulled this latch to get the chair in this position. Now I will find the nicest way to climb in. I'm watching my head on the sloped roofline and fit myself in like so. Now that I am back here in the rear seats, I've got to say, with the seat in its farthest forward position, it's really not too bad in here. I am 100% positive that the center passenger will have problems if they're a bit tall or even average height, but I am 5'11" and I have no problem with knee room. Foot and headroom, however, are a different story. Now, my head is not touching the roof, but it's just 1 inch away from the ceiling, and that makes it feel a bit more claustrophobic. And since this car has 707 horsepower, I'll probably feel a bit queasy under hard accelerations. Footroom is pretty much non-existent. There is a little bit of wiggle room, but I will not be able to move my feet very much forward, backwards, or to the sides. I can just pivot them. In the rear seats, however, we do have leather armrests and 2 vents back here, along with some hooks and an airbag, which is always nice because 707 horsepower rear-wheel drive, you will need safety in case of an incident. Now, in the driver's side of the 2020 Dodge Challenger Hellcat Widebody, let's start off on the general side. Now, here we have the basic mirror controls with the side view mirror controls, lock and unlock buttons, along with an interestingly placed door opening lever. When the door is closed, it is right next to your knee, and I find it a bit odd when you're trying to get out of the car. Regardless, I guess it still works. On this side right here, you have a nice bottle holder, and in the rear you have a oddly shaped rear cubby. This vehicle also has the premium Alpine sound system, which I will demonstrate for you a bit later. Now, this does have the leather wrapped dash and door panels, which I would say to definitely not skip over when you are buying this car, since it does make it feel a bit more upscale. On this side, we have light controls and the more advanced light controls, and this vehicle does have the advanced driver assistance package and the technology group, which give us adaptive cruise control and other braking and lane keeping features, which are helpful. You want to be very comfortable in this car, and with these seats, I can tell you, you definitely will be. Seat controls are forward and backwards, but with the backrest, it is manual. So you have to pull this latch, lean forward, and it slowly moves, and to make it backwards, you pull it back, let go, just like your regular seats. Now, on the passenger side, they are fully manual and not electronic, which I would say could have been done better, but oh well. This is the leather wrapped steering wheel, which is provided with the wide body package, along with the leather wrapped shift knob. I quite like this interior with the wide body package. On the steering wheel, you will also find the paddle shifters, which are made of metal and not plastic, which are nice. The volume adjustments are on the back. Another interesting thing about the side vents on the passenger side are that there is an SRT Hellcat logo inside. I quite like this, but it's interesting that there is none on the driver's side. Now that we are in the center of the 2020 Challenger SRT Hellcat Widebody, I will show you that the screen turns on like this, and it gives us a nice animation, which I quite like. In the center, we have the volume controls and the tune controls over here. On the top, we have the hazards, which when you press, the button stays indented. When you push it back, it comes back out. Here we have the mute button, unmute button, and the screen off button. On the lower side of those buttons, we have the SRT quick access page button over here. I will show you later, and the launch control button. Here we have the park sense off button, which is quite useful for a car that is this big. On the right side, we also have the traction control off button, which I wouldn't really recommend since this car is quite powerful. Underneath those buttons, we have the two-way climate control system adjustments, which is the manual one. There is an electronic one, which is quite more advanced in the infotainment system. I will show you that a bit shorter. In the SRT Hellcat Widebody with the Widebody package, we do get this leather-wrapped shift control system. I will turn the car on. And it's quite loud. Now, this is also the manual adjustment, down, down, up, up. You can see that it's changing over there. It's quite nice, but currently I will put it in park. Now I will press accept here, and I will show you how to get to those SRT pages. You have two options. You can press SRT dashboard, or you can press this button right here. Now we are in our drive mode select system, we have a custom, which allows us, since this is the black key, we are limited to 500 horsepower. In order to get the full 707, we will need the red key. Once we put the car in sport system, it automatically puts the traction control system into sport mode. And once you put it in track, all heck breaks loose, and I believe it turns off the traction control system. Now here it says activate line lock, and that is when it takes the front brakes, it locks them up perfectly, and it unlocks the rear brakes, which allows us to do a burnout to warm up the rear tires if we're at the drag strip and we want the maximum grip. Now we can also push the race options. It shows us all of our things. Now with this car, we also have the launch control system, which is changed. We can change it all the way up to 2,500 RPMs, which is the start, and all the way down to 1,000 as a minimum. This is 1,300 as a base. I will leave it there. We also have race cooldown, which allows the engine to cool down quite well. I believe it leaves the intercooler running. Now if we do go back and back again to the apps page, you can press SRT mode, and that just makes all of these things quite quick. Now if you do want to put the car in valet mode, it'll limit the performance of the vehicle, so you can make sure that the valet driver doesn't abuse the power of this car. I quite like this thing, and I like how eco mode is turned off. Now we do go back into the settings, and I will show you that these seats are in fact heated and ventilated as well. That's quite nice. This car also has the heated steering wheel, which is an option. I can press it right here. Now seat controls, you can see the mirror dimmer over here, the heated wheel, vented seat, and vented seat over there. Now once I do press navigation, it's nice and crisp. It looks quite nice. One thing I also like about Dodge is when you put it into reverse, the rear camera is usually pretty good, but it's a bit pixelated on the screen. This is an 8.4-inch Uconnect display system. Now if I put it back into park, go back to apps, climate, and you can see the more advanced climate control systems over here. We can see what the temperature is. We can do circulation system, turn it off. It's very nice. I like how all of this stuff works. Now we have the media system, which is a Sirius XM. With this car, it is a 5-year subscription, which you do pay for free. I've got to say, the interior of this car is quite nice. Now with the seats, these are in fact the optional leather Laguna seats in the black option. They are quite nice, quite comfortable. They're wide, they hold you really, really well, and they look quite nice with the black exterior. I've got to say, Dodge has definitely stepped up their game from their older vehicles into the newer ones, and the new ones definitely do look a bit more upscale, especially when you are paying a higher price for higher power. Overall, a really nice designed interior from a Dodge. Driving the Hellcat Widebody. Slight acceleration right there. As you can tell, no issue whatsoever in picking up speed. This car does so very quickly and without any type of hesitation. Another brief acceleration here. As you can tell, this car is very prone to oversteer. You can't just floor the car and hope it goes straight, and that is why there is definitely a bit of a steep learning curve when driving the car. You do have to be very careful, especially on an open road like this. Once we do turn right, you'll get a feel for the car during cruising. We did not push the car too much on the next road because there was a police officer present. When you do accelerate, you do notice the supercharger whine just a bit. Once you do get on the throttle substantially, then it definitely starts screaming. Now while cruising, you wouldn't expect this car to be too good, but that's exactly what it is. I really love cruising in the car because it's quite pleasant. Wind noise isn't too bad, especially from a car that's not very aerodynamic. Tire noise is definitely present as there are very wide tires, and engine noise will definitely be there because it's a larger supercharged engine. But I do like that it is nice and comfortable when you are cruising. Overall, a very balanced car, very aggressive when you get on the throttle, but nice and tamed when you are not. To finish off the video of the drive with a slight acceleration. Moving on to the competition, there are two main contenders for the Hellcat Widebody. The first one is the 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. This car does have more horsepower and may look a bit more modern, but it has a base price of $74,095 US and the automatic transmission option. On top of that, the options for this car are quite pricey. Aside from that, fuel economy is worse than the Hellcat, and you also get one less gear in the automatic transmission compared to the Hellcat. And in addition to all of those things, people will make Mustang jokes when you go out to meet others. The second vehicle is the 2020 Chevy Camaro ZL1. This vehicle has less horsepower, and I'm not too fond about the rear end styling compared to the Hellcat. It does have a base price of $65,590 in the automatic transmission option. You do get 2 more gears compared to the Hellcat as well. Personally, I still think the Hellcat is a better option with daily driving compared to all of its competition as a whole. Now, something I found quite cool about Dodge is that when you do buy a Hellcat of any type, Dodge will actually fly you out to Chandler, Arizona, so you can drive a Hellcat on the track and you can experience the true feel of owning a very powerful muscle car. I do believe that this is really cool, especially on Dodge's part, and I don't think that any other manufacturer actually does this. So it's something really unique about owning a Hellcat. And that is the complete review of the 2020 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Now let's go on and talk about the price. Now originally, without the Widebody and all of the extra packages, the Hellcat has a base price of just $58,995. Now with all of the options this car has, it has been spec'd out to $82,445. Now that is a high price. When you think about what you're getting in a package, a beautiful looking car and over 700 horsepower, the price doesn't really seem too high. Now Dodge is currently running some incentives, and it's a specific dollar amount per horsepower, which means you could probably get quite a bit of money knocked off from the current price of the car. I would definitely recommend you talk to Lucas at Doyne Lane's Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, and Ram, so you can definitely get the best deal for the car. I will have all the information linked below. I personally love this car, and I think it is one of the best muscle cars that is true to its roots. Thank you all for watching, and keep on driving.